Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
So, article in the description box as always. Now, upon reading this one, I'm sensing that Eddie Hearn is quietly confident that the WBC will do the right thing and install Dillian Whyte as mandatory to fight the winner of Wilder versus Breazeale. At a bare minimum, Dillian Whyte's next fight, maybe the WBC would choose his opponent, who knows, for July 13th. And should he win that one, then become the WBC mandatory to face the winner of Wilder versus Breazeale. Now, I know that a lot of people say, but Wilder's only just fighting his mandatory. Why would he have to fight a mandatory straight after? Well, Wilder's been champion for 4 years and 3 months and only fought one mandatory. And by the time he fights Dominic Breazeale, that would be 4 years and 5 months. And that'd be 2 mandatories. So with the WBC, you're supposed to defend your title against a mandatory once a year. But Wilder's been given a pass all this time. There always seems to be some kind of excuse, whether he's right, whether he's wrong. No matter what it is, the fact is he's only fought one mandatory up until now. And when he fights Dominic Breazeale, that would be 2 mandatories, of course, like should he win. So in theory, Deontay Wilder owes the WBC at least 2 more mandatories right now after Dominic Breazeale to catch up on the 4 years. That's one way of looking at it. The other way is the case that Dominic Breazeale is a PBC fighter. Works for Al Haymon, right? Deontay Wilder, also PBC, works for Al Haymon. Wilder's been given preferential treatment for so long now, and you could argue that Dominic Breazeale is only mandatory because he's part of the PBC. PBC and the WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman have a very good relationship. Is this why Dominic Breazeale is getting favouritism and Dillian Whyte, even though he's been defending his WBC silver title and he is number 1 in the WBC, is still not mandatory? Is this why? Even though Dillian has been defending that title against the top guys in the WBC. So he is owed something at a bare minimum. Now, will the WBC do the right thing and maybe install Dillian Whyte as a new mandatory straight away? Potentially, yeah. Would they force him to fight an opponent of their choosing? Again, yeah, why not? As he's going to be fighting July 13th at the O2 Arena, so the WBC could say to him, you know what, you're going to fight Luis Ortiz. Should you win that one, you'll be the mandatory and you'll fight the winner of Wilder versus Breazeale, or you'll fight Povetkin, or you'll fight Ajit Kabayel, or you'll fight Adam Kaunaki, who knows. But of course, there is also potentially, and it is just potentially, the option of the WBA regular title, which Manuel Charr currently owns. But of course, he is set to defend that against Trevor Bryan. So again, that's a bit of a grey area, that one. But one of the reasons that Dillian Whyte turned down the Joshua fight is because he's been chasing the WBC for so long now that he feels that he's so close to the finish line of getting his hands on Wilder. He's very, very confident of grabbing Wilder and putting him to sleep. So him grabbing that WBC title and then fighting Joshua not only gives him more leverage at the table for a higher payday. Listen, it's prize fighting, whether people like it or not. The name of the game is to make money, right? Because it's a very, very short career. But ultimately, him versus Joshua in a rematch, not only will it be a big fight, it'll turn into a super fight. As 2 Brits for undisputed. That's the kind of stuff that us Brits would absolutely love, right? So that's one of the reasons why he turned down the Joshua fight. Because he's very confident that he can grab hold of Wilder and demolish him. Okay? So, big credit for him. And yes, it's a very, very brave move and anything can happen. Anything does happen in boxing. But anyway, Eddie Hearn has given a statement, and this is what Eddie Hearn had to say. As I said, I'll put this article in the description box for you guys to go have a read for yourself. We want Dillian Whyte to be the mandatory with the WBC, so that will be ruled in the next 10 to 14 days. A lot depends on that decision in terms of who Dillian fights in July. The plan is still to go July 6th or July 13th, and we'll wait for the WBC's decision and then make our choice following that. Luis Ortiz, Alexander Povetkin, Manuel Charr, Ajit Kabayel for the European Championship. We know Dillian always wants to fight these top guys, so you can expect him to be in a great fight in July. So that is Eddie Hearn's statement. He does go on to other bits as well. Actually, you might as well say that. I think Mauricio Sulaiman feels for Dillian Whyte. I think everyone in boxing knows he's been hard done by in this situation. Mauricio is a very fair guy, so is the WBC. They'll take that into consideration. They'll take our appeal into consideration, and they'll make their decision amongst the WBC governors. So that is Eddie Hearn's statement. Yeah, hopefully the WBC do that. I mean, for him to say that Mauricio Sulaiman is a fair kind of guy, I mean, maybe he is. I mean, I don't know. As I said, for me, he does favour the PBC fighters. He does favour the PBC American and Mexican fighters. That's what it appears from the outside. So Dillian Whyte has been hard done by. Listen, Dillian Whyte got that WBC silver title and #1 ranking. He defeated undefeated Lucas Brown, whether you rate him or not, that is the fact, and he is former world champion. He then defeated former WBA world champion Joseph Parker. And then, of course, Derek Chisora, who again was in the top 10 of the WBC at the time. So Dillian Whyte has consistently fought the top guys according to the WBC rankings. So he is owed something, and as I said, Deontay Wilder does owe the WBC 4 mandatories for being champion 4 years. He's already had 1, he's about to have his 2nd, so he does actually owe them 2 more. It really does. So there's no reason in the world why the WBC cannot say, you know what, you owe us some mandatories, you will fight Dillian Whyte next if you beat Dominic Breazeale. Or Dominic Breazeale, you will fight Dillian Whyte next. Or the winner of Dillian Whyte versus Ortiz, or Povetkin, or Kabayel, or Kaunaki, whoever it may be. So no reason in the world why they can't do that, and that's the route that I think they will go down, where they will say that the winner of Wilder versus Breazeale will fight the winner of Dillian Whyte versus whoever it may be. And I do feel that WBC will choose an opponent to their liking. And I know some people say, but if Dominic Breazeale manages to defeat Deontay Wilder, then there'll be a rematch. No, there shouldn't be a rematch. It's a mandatory, it's a forced fight. So there's no reason for Dominic Breazeale to have a rematch clause or sign a rematch clause in that contract. Anyway, as I said, I'll put the article in the description box. Go have a read of it for yourself. Come to your own thoughts on it. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up. And, of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.